let's move in a direction that we need dentistry to go in. Because let's be real, dentistry's in the Stone Ages still. We're still trying to get us up into like where medical is.
We always tell people that every single person in the office has a responsibility for communication and for participating in like the management of it, right? So we can't sit back and just complain about an office manager or a dentist if they're not communicating with us. You have to figure out also how to communicate with them and help bridge that gap. I get to see the back door in a lot of building dental groups, and I would say that groups are a positive thing. Obviously, if they're done for the right reason, right? There's always lots of complications, but building a dental group is really, really, really hard. And so it goes through these growing pains, but I think that we'll continue to see consolidation.
Yeah, this is a tale, oh yeah, a tale of two hygienists. So there might be only one, bringing the best of dental knowledge, and we do it all with ease. We cover oral health and screening, and preventing gum disease. We're gonna do a lot of learning, and have a little bit of fun working at the dentist. A tale of two hygienists.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of A Tale of Two Hygienists, episode number 343. I'm your host, Andrew Johnston, and thank you so much for being here. I got a little raspy thing going on in my voice, and I apologize about that. But this week, I am proud to bring you a great episode. We have part 2 of the Leadership Roundtable with Josey Sewell and Sarah Thiel. You all loved the first one, so I'm very sure that you're going to love this one too. And then next week, we are bringing on our good friend, Crystal Spring. You've seen her on social media or probably at a conference, I'm sure. She is hilarious to be around in person. But I think one of the things that I really like about her is she's so smart and engaging to speak with when you have to be professional as well. So be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss that episode. I want to say thank you to Alyssa Aberley and Megan Elliott for helping us out at the Celerant booth at RDH Under One Roof. While we were recording, they were there passing out stickers and cards and helping people learn about the podcast. And that's such an important part of the show is getting more people to know about it. And I love how much we've been growing this year. So for those of you that don't really care about the stats, you can go ahead and fast forward about 10 seconds here. But last month, July, was one of our best months ever. Actually, it was the best month ever with over 68,000 downloads. And so by comparison, our best month last year, which is a great year, had the highest month was only a little more than 35,000. So we've almost doubled what our growth was since last year in just this one month. And it's amazing. And it's a huge thanks to all of you for spreading the word about the show and getting people excited to learn about it. And also having an input on what kinds of episodes, what kind of guests that we have, and what we put out on the air. We listen to your feedback. We take it very seriously. So thank you so much for all of this. We're really excited here at A Tale of Two Hygienists. So just setting the stage for the upcoming few months, we recorded an insane amount of interviews at Under One Roof, probably enough to get us through November, or at least most of November. We are also partnering with Dexis to bring you some really hardcore CE level shows in September for their Dexis Days event. They're going to be the type of show, and the reason why we're partnering with them, I guess, is because it's the type of show that I just couldn't do. I couldn't interview at that level on that topic that they'll be speaking on. And so we have some really great episodes and hosts picked out for those ones. And so we've also partnered with Celerant to showcase some really great products in our industry. So those bonus episodes will be coming out twice this month of August, and then about once a month or so through the end of the year. So you'll know some of the winners for the Celerant Best of Class Award. We will also be recording it at ADA in October as part of the podcast booth. I love that these conferences are doing podcast booths now, but we will be looking to schedule some interviews there. So if you have any suggestions, or if you're going to be there and you want to be on the show, make sure you let us know. We hope that what we have recorded then, and I think we have one more recording day between those 2 days, we're hoping that that'll take us through the end of the year for all of the recordings. And it'll be a really nice time to kind of reset. So I tell you all of this because even though I know that the business of the podcast isn't something that you're necessarily interested in, I want you to know that we're doing great, but we still need some help, and I still want this to be a podcast of the people. So one of those things that you all could do, we're looking for someone to help us at the ADA booth, kind of like Alyssa and Megan did, passing out stickers, getting people subscribed to the podcast, and that kind of thing. We're also going to be sending out our annual feedback form, asking for what kinds of things you want us to talk about in the upcoming year. We have our summit tentatively scheduled for October to get ready for 2023. So look for that form in your inboxes late September or early October. If you are not subscribed to our newsletter, you probably will not get it. So please head to our website at tell2hygienist.com and subscribe so you can have input on what we're doing for next year. And then the last thing, I will be looking to bring on a permanent or maybe even semi-permanent co-host starting in probably October of this year. I've approached a few people already, people that have co-hosted with me, but I'm really looking to solidify some things in the coming months of who that's going to be. If you have a particular co-host that you've really enjoyed, please let me know, Andrew@tell2hygienist.com. Or if you have suggestions for people that I should be considering as the new co-host, even if I haven't met them yet or worked with them, shoot me an email. Let me know. Again, Andrew@tell2hygienist.com. But I think that is all for me for this week. Thank you again for listening and subscribing, and enjoy this episode with Josey and Sarah.
A tale of two hygienists.
Hey friends, quick pause in the show to remind you about the CE offered for several of our episodes. All you have to do is click into the show notes and follow the link to the CE Zoom website. Answer a few of those questions about the episode correctly and you'll be rewarded the appropriate amount of CEUs. This wouldn't be possible without a partnership with our friends at TempStars. TempStars is more than just a temp and a placement service. They are clinician-led and education-focused and strive to perfectly match individuals and dental offices. Learn more about tempstars.com or go back and listen to some of their tip episodes. They are absolutely worth the listen. And now, back to the show. Okay, I want to talk about this one topic. It's not controversial, but I have some feelings about it. It's the idea of the abundance mindset, right? Hey, there's plenty of room in the sandbox for all of us to play. And I think that both of you do it really well, where you're, hey, I'm not going to be, exclusive, but I've seen too many people in our industry. We all kind of got our breaks similar. I mean, within several years of each other. And I've seen several people, our peers at the same time, get their break, have this abundance mindset. I'm giving to others. I'm, loving. And then all of a sudden they kind of closed down. They said, well, I'm not going to do that unless you pay me. I'm not going to do this unless, I get something out of it. Or, they closed that, the thing that made them successful, they closed it. And so I kind of want to get your mindset or your feelings on that mindset of like, how do you continue to have it? And why do you guys have it?
Oh, this one could get tricky. So I'm going to try and be careful because it is. I mean,
it is tricky.
When I first started out, like I trusted everybody. I'm like, and then I wanted to help everybody. So many people helped me. I wanted to help everybody. But then you do get those people that take advantage of you a lot. And then this industry is very small, very, very small, even though there's 650,000 professionals. Where we go, these conferences, it's very small. We pretty much know everybody and everybody knows us. So it's tricky. Like you have to be so careful. I always would say I'm Switzerland. Like someone would come up and start talking trash about someone else or this or that. I'm like, I don't want to hear it, guys. I don't want to hear it because quite frankly, I don't have time to waste my energy on drama and gossip. Like, let's just build each other up and let's move in a direction that we need dentistry to go in. Cause let's be real, dentistry's in the Stone Ages still. We're still trying to get us up into like where medical is and everything, especially as far as CE goes. I'm busting my butt on that one. But let me think about this one a little bit harder.
But here's the thing, Sarah, like I don't know anyone in this industry that isn't a better connector of people. You still give all the time. I'm not talking about, giving free CE to people. I'm talking about you as a person. You allow everyone to, like, you lift everybody up.
I don't see that, but.
Okay. Well, you do, and everyone else sees it. So okay, take that.
I feel like I'm being real hard on myself this morning. It's not.
You need to be nicer to yourself, buddy. I'm just thinking
realistically about this. It's like, I don't think, as far as like leadership goes, I'm still stuck on that one. Like, I don't feel like I'm a leader, and I know you guys are saying I am. I feel like I can now maybe like help people build a business and not get screwed like I did and have resilience and just keep powering through. But I don't see I don't know. Anyway, go Josey.
So the question, let me reframe the question. It's when we start out, it's abundant, right? And we give and we share and we're out there. And then at some point you kind of start to see something happen.
Not necessarily
and maybe
you, though. Not necessarily you. I'm just saying like other people, but yeah.
Okay. So I think that it's maybe a couple of different things. I think to Sarah's point, when you put yourself out there, we're probably not always prepared for what we might receive back. And so, for example, like 2 days ago, I stood on stage and then I got humiliated in front of an audience of 1,000, where immediately, like, I felt like I wanted to pull back a little bit, where it was like, oh my gosh, why did I do this? But it was the wrong audience for me, right? And I need to remember it wasn't me, it was just the wrong audience. And I just need, like, it's important for me to find my people. So I think that we have those situations where we get hurt and maybe we don't know how to work through that or process that. So the only thing we know how to do is to close it back. So I think that that's one thing. But for those who do continue to become a thought leader or an influence, I hate the term influencer because it's so social media, but what I mean is like somebody who truly influences others. They figure out a way how to get past that and how to turn it into something that happened to them to something that happened for them. But you have to have the right support team and community. I also think that as I was listening to your question, one of the things that came to me was maybe in the beginning, as people are growing, they may not have a super clear direction. So they say yes to everything. Like that's my advice to people, right? Is just say yes to everything until you find out your niche, your passion, and what it is. And then maybe you hone in on that. So maybe it's also as people hone in on who they are and what they really offer to the world, they do have to say no to things. I think being a leader is so much more, it's not time management, it's energy management. And so if I start to understand, if I say yes to this, that means I'm saying no to something else. And right now I might not be in a position where I can say no to this because this is my livelihood, this is my business. I also think that as we grow to the point where you said, like all of a sudden I'm not going to do it unless I get paid for it. I think we all have to do a little bit of a gut check, right? Where it's like, am I still giving back? Am I still sharing without having to be paid for it? But also you start to understand your value. And maybe you've been burned where you did do something free and you saw a company significantly benefit financially from what you contributed. You're like you just kind of mature a little bit where you're like, actually, my time is valuable. And so there is a financial cost for that, or there has to be some benefit. But I think we also just need to be aware of that and balance that. It's like, no, actually, we still want to give back in ways that are more meaningful to what we can. But like, for example, like I used to, anytime somebody was like, do you want to speak? I'd say yes. I didn't care like what the honorarium was. I was like, just pay my travel fees. And like, I don't care. I just want the opportunity. And so I'm at a point in my life where I don't have to do that. But if I really care about the organization, or if they're a new organization and they're struggling and they need a good speaker, then I'm not going to charge them like what a full fee would be. It might be like, what's in your budget? I'm happy to support you. Let's at least make sure it's not like I'm coming out of my pocket if I can help it, right? Unless it's something that's super important and I really care about it. But I think it's a combination of we learn to manage our energy, we start to understand our value, but we should still try to give back as much as possible.
Love it. I love those answers. All right, here we go. We got 2 more questions, I think, for
I'd actually really like to know what you have to say about this, Andrew.
About here's my thing. I think that I'm a little bit linear in my thought process, and I don't think it necessarily is the right way to think, but it is just the way that I do think. And both of you, I don't feel like either of you have really pulled back though on that abundance mindset. So I wanted to kind of highlight that, like, how could anyone kind of continue to give when so many people don't? And for me, it gets frustrating because the reason why they are where they are is because they gave, and then they shut it down, and then they stop progressing in their leadership ability. They stop progressing in their success. They maybe are a little successful in their niche, but they're not living up to their full potential. And so for me, that's really frustrating because it's not only their own ability to grow and all of that, but it's now there's thousands of people that are like deprived of what you could possibly give. And so, of course, I don't want anyone to ever do anything for free. I mean, there has to be a value to, or, you have to be given equal value to what you're giving back. But it frustrates me that there's so many great thought leaders that are off the market, so to speak. And and they're not accessible to the masses. And that bothers me because they only got there because of one way, and then they just turned their back on it. So sorry. And again, that's just a linear thinking. I know it's not the right way of thinking, but it's just where I'm at. Okay.
I don't think that's linear. I'm going to say one more thing about this though. Josie's right though. When I first started, I was the same way. It was like, I said yes to everything because I had no option. And like, when I was talking in the first part of this podcast about the kids and stuff. And it's like, you do have to reprioritize when you can finally start putting food on the table, so to speak, And so like conferences, I just don't go to them anymore because I don't want to. Honestly, that's where I'm at. It's not that I can't. I just don't want to. I'm choosing to be with my kids because I can finally, and it's amazing. And so but at the same time, I'll give back in any way I can as long as I can stay here and still be with my family. Like whatever you guys need. I mean, both of you know, I'll do whatever, especially connecting people. Like that's a huge thing. I think that's what saves a business truly. It's like who you know most of the time. But anyway,
there's great value in that. I mean, we just we had a conference call just the other week on a Saturday where you are connecting people and helping people with things that, I mean, yeah, you may get some benefit out of it, but it's not going to be equal, I don't think, until what they're getting. And I love that about you. I could talk about both of you about how amazing you are for forever. But okay, so this is kind of one that's a little bit near and dear to my heart. It's about communication. Because I think that we've all had, well, we mentioned already earlier that, there have been times in our journeys that communication was not super effective, whether it was from us or to us or vice versa. So from an office level, because I think that most of the people listening to this is going to be in single practice office still, how do you achieve effective communication at the office level?
You're asking like if we're speaking directly to like hygienists and team members?
Yeah.
Or
all of them. Yeah. Like managers. Whoever. Yeah. Whoever. I mean, where does it start? I mean, does it start with the office manager? Or does it start with the team member? Or do each play a part? And what do they play? What part do they play?
We have an entire program that we built because we struggled with this. Eric and I built it. And it was because we thought we were good communicators. And we thought like our team knew exactly what we expected and wanted. And one day we sat down with all of our office managers and we had this like assessment. And we turned it around on us. It was something that like we wanted them to do as managers, but in order for them to feel safe, we turned it on ourselves. And we said, okay, we want you to rank us. How well do you feel like we give clear direction, clear expectations? Are we like all of these things? And we were like, I just still remember where I was sitting and even what I was wearing, because it was a pivotal moment where I had assumed that my communication was clear and it was not. And when we finally had that conversation with our team members, it was like the absolute catalyst and game changer that all of a sudden, like we were growing like crazy, but then it was like we had alignment and buy-in and positive, really close relationships that we could really challenge each other no matter what our title was. So from that, when we train on culture and communication, we always tell people that every single person in the office has a responsibility for communication and for participating in like the management of it, right? So we can't sit back and just complain about an office manager or a dentist if they're not communicating with us. You have to figure out also how to communicate with them and help bridge that gap. So I think we all have a responsibility as a team member and as a like if we want to be somewhere where we like to go to work and we're happy to go and work and we feel safe and whatever, sometimes we have to lead. You do not have to have a title to lead. Sometimes it's one person who starts to make a difference. So if you feel like you're not getting the communication that you need, I would say, one, be mindful about when you talk about these things. Don't do it at the end of the day when people are exhausted. Don't do it when you're hungry. Don't do it when you're frustrated. And also like set aside time. And if it was me as a hygienist and I wanted to sit down with my dentist, I would first try to set an appointment, be like, hey, can you and I sit down and talk about some things? I just want to make sure that we're on the same page and see if there are additional ways that I can support you. I think that as you try to give to others, that really opens up communication. And then when you sit down, you could say, hey, you know what? I've been thinking a lot about work and about our team. And I realized you were going through a ton as a business owner, as a dentist. I can't imagine, with this employee shortage, what it would be like. I want to be a great team member and I want to be supportive of you, but I feel like I don't always get the communication that I need. So I don't always know like what our goals are. I don't always know what you expect of me. So I'm just wondering, do you think that there are some ways that we could start to communicate better or more often? One of the most powerful things that I do with the clients that I work with is actually just teaching them a cadence of communication. And so for leaders, now I'll switch to the other side. That was what I would recommend to team members. What I would recommend to leaders is that you can't just expect that this is going to happen. And on your list of things to do as a business owner, if I said, tell me all of the things that you're responsible for, you need to do, what's interesting is like communicating with my team may not end up on the top of that list if you're not thinking about it, because you assume they already know what you want. And that's never, ever, ever the case. They're not mind readers. And so it's, how do I have effective meetings? But what is my schedule for team meetings versus one-on-ones? And getting really clear about how often you're working and having that communication one-on-one with team members. Annual performance reviews, there's zero research that shows that an annual performance review actually improves performance. People need to have more frequent check-ins. So we do a more structured every 90 days, like let's go over some things, but we do at least a monthly check-in. So the frequency is important, but also providing some structure and helping the team member understand what's going to happen when we sit down and meet together and say, hey, when we meet together in our one-on-one, these are the things that we want to go over. This is what I expect of you. These are my expectations of what I'm going to come to the table. This is what I want out of it. Let's put it on our calendars and protect it. So much of being a leader is more frequent communication. And so just that cadence is critical. So as a team member, asking for it if you need it. If you're a leader, scheduling it, putting structure to it, and just like never, ever miss that time because your team members need it.
And mic drop. I got nothing to say.
As I say, amen. That's it. That was solid.
I mean, it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like even from a hygiene perspective, that's how I'm sitting here looking at it. I don't actually remember ever having a meeting with my doctor, ever. Even my annual review was with the office manager. Mm-hmm. That's brilliant. I didn't even think of that. That's brilliant. It makes sense. I mean, that way you get their expectations too, because you're right. They just assume we know, and we're just sitting here trying to please me. I'm always trying to please everybody and thinking I'm doing what they want, and I might not even be doing what they want. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. All right. Last question. Here we go. So what is something in dentistry that is happening now that many people might not be aware of? And why should we be paying attention to it?
Sarah Thiel written all over it. I feel like she has like the backdoor scene on like things going on from all the CE stuff. So I want to hear from Sarah on this one.
There's a lot actually going on, a lot. And it's all good. It's all positive. There's one thing that I think is freaking incredible is the simulation, all these simulation. There's a couple simulation companies out there where they're testing through simulation. And this needed to happen years ago, but
we're not talking typodonts, everybody. This isn't typodonts. This is like haptic feedback. It's,
am I allowed to talk? I'm not going to say,
just don't say the names, but yeah, you can talk
I'm
about
allowed to talk about this. Okay. So I think it's amazing because so dentists go to school, hygienists go to school. We come out of school, all of us can agree. You are not really efficient in your skills till at least 2 years, maybe 5 for some. It's tough. Like that you come out knowing the minimum expectations, like all the minimum of everything. That's it. You're not learning all these high skills of how to like really remove calculus the best of your abilities. You're just getting by, truly. Like we all know this. So with what they're doing, the way it's changing, especially with I'm trying not to say too much. Okay, so it's I'll just say this. It's going in a really good direction where we won't have to be using live patients to do testing anymore. but it's going to be okay. Like, that's the thing. Like, Andrew and I have both fought for this because we were both examiners for several testing agencies, and we've seen typodont testing versus live patient, which was hands down live patient needed to happen. But now with the simulation happening, I remember like when I was young, we had a flight school in my hometown, and we went to the flight simulation one time and like learned, like we were flying a plane. It was so cool. And this was years ago. I don't know why it took dentistry so long to get here, because they've been doing this for years, but like to be taught in like with instrumentation and science and technology, like knowing exactly if you're at the right depth, if you're at like even so you doing a root canal, like not perforating through the root, like it's just so cool how they're doing this. Like that's changing, and that's also changing at the board level. You know what I mean? Like as far as like dental boards, and it's helping like, because being a dental board member, you're not paid, it's volunteer. And so when cases come through, it's like, okay, well, this dentist really needs to maybe go back to school again, but we can't do that. So what do? We give them CE. Is that CE really going to teach them anything? No, they're going to probably have their office manager take it. Unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. And it's not fair to like the patient, but that's just, that's how it's been. But that is changing, which is incredible, I think.
And if anyone can actually go to like the conferences, sometimes they have these feedback, like these machines. So it's really hard to describe over a podcast. That's why we say you just need to see it. But essentially you're sitting down, you're holding a handpiece, or you're holding a probe, you're holding an Explorer, you're holding the mirror, you're looking through this viewfinder, and it's all real-time feedback that if you are in your right hand, if you're right-handed, assuming you are, using the probe, and you can touch the tissue, like on the simulated tissue, that if you looked at where the probe is actually touching, there's nothing there. But if you look through the viewfinder, there's this tooth that is, three-dimensional, and you're almost playing this game. But as soon as you touch the soft tissue, you feel it. As soon as you get down into the pocket, you feel it. As soon as you get down to the depth of the pocket, you feel it. And then back to your point, Sarah, when you're prepping this tooth, and they have, visually you can see where the decay is, and you follow this decay. But if you were to continue to go just straight down through the crown of that tooth, you're going to perf. You're going to fall into, it'll be hard, there'll be feedback in your hand that's hard, and then you all of a sudden fall into this hole where the pulp chamber is. So I love that you talked about that, because that's awesome.
And you just lost the game. Like that's truly what it feels like.
Yeah.
It's Ready Player One. It's
exactly
ready. Like,
yeah.
And then the next thing I think where dentistry is changing is DSOs. And I'm not going to say it's a bad thing, you guys. Like I know there's hard feelings there, but I work with a lot of large DSOs, and they educate their staff so much better than a general practice, because they have the resources, they have the people, and they actually need to, so like it's a good thing as long as you're in the right one. So, and absolutely. I mean, I'm seeing it, like we can't even keep up with how many DSOs are out there. Like I'm sure Josey can attest to this. I sat down with a company the other day who collects the data and helps you find practices and all of that. Like, and I had no idea they have like 2,600 DSOs in their thing. I'm like, wow. What? I thought there was maybe 1,000. So.
I love this. I would say, how I would answer this question would be one, AI, if you're seeing like what AI is doing in clinical. And what I've seen is a lot of clinicians initially are like kind of against it because they feel like it's big brother-ish, or they have these opinions. But I just, again, to your point, Andrew, I'm not chair side. And so I don't know what the workflow's like, or if it's super clunky, but I would feel really great having like some amazing program that's like, look, Mrs. Jones, you have periodontal disease. It's not just me. I'm not a greedy hygienist. You thinking that I'm making stuff up. Look at what the computer says and let me show you. So the AI stuff, I think, is really going to start to grow and change how we work clinically. And I'm super excited to see what that does, especially for patients and care and acceptance. And then I'm obviously in the dental group space. And so I love that Sarah said it and I didn't have to say it, but that consolidation is happening, and there are good and there are bad DSOs. And for those of you who have no idea what that is, that's a dental support organization. And so some people, like they say, oh, it's corporate, and the word corporate is negative, but it's not, there are so many different groups. There are the really, really large ones that we all know about. And some people have had positive or negative experiences depending on which one you're in. But there are a lot of emerging dental groups and DSOs. And those are my clients. Those are the ones that I work with. That's really my niche here in the industry, is emerging groups. And I will tell you, the people that are building these groups are some of the most passionate, loving, motivated people. And I have the opportunity to help them clarify their vision. So I sit in a room with them for 8 hours at a time with their executive leadership team. And I dig deep and ask hard questions like, who are you? Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to build this group? Why does your business exist? And I will tell you that some of them are like, because I want to serve patients, they have this very patient, like, I'm here to make my community better. But I will tell you that so many of them, if I pulled up their vision sheet that we build, their primary customer, if you will, is their team. Their primary motivator is, I love to see my team grow, and I want to see them learn and become and reach their potential and do these other things. They are so driven to support an amazing team and build an amazing culture. So anyway, I get to see the back door in a lot of building dental groups. And I would say that groups are a positive thing. Obviously, if they're done for the right reason, right? There's always lots of complications. But building a dental group is really, really, really hard. And so it goes through these growing pains. But I think that we'll continue to see consolidation. And it's not, when we say consolidation, people think, oh, it's like the big corporate people buying everybody else out. What it is that dentists don't want to work alone anymore. Like, you know, the dentists that are graduating and want to get out, they don't want to like be so tied to their practice that is what they live and breathe, and they don't have any support. They want to work with other dentists. They want to have additional support in the business and the clinical and the people. And I think that groups are a really positive thing for the industry.
I agree.
Having
worked for a group right now. So, okay. Hopefully you guys will be okay to do a part 2 sometimes. I have about 10 more questions, honestly, that we don't have time for. Both of you are some of the most amazing brains in our industry, and I'm really thankful for your guys' time. And I think that other people are going to be curious to maybe ask you questions as well. So if you'd be open to them reaching out, where could they find you?
On Facebook, you can find me at just Jocelyn Sewell. If you spell it correctly, I'm the only one in the world somehow that has that name. On Instagram, you can find me at Hygienists and Heels. Social is probably a little bit easier instead of just an email, but I do have an amazing support team that helps me with my email because I'm really busy. And that's just jsewell@deodentalgroup.com.
I hate email. I'll be honest. It gives me anxiety. So I'm with Jose on this one. You can find me on LinkedIn or Instagram, Facebook, any of those places. I do bet, like, if you send me a direct message, I'm more likely to answer questions that way versus an email. An email, I feel like I have to work.
Yes. So, there's something about email that it's like, I don't know if it's the formality of it. I'll get a Slack, a text, a direct message, and it's I'll even create quick videos. But if you send me an email, it's like, oh, I don't know why. I don't know what my mental block is. Email is not good.
A little bit more on the next episode.
I'll give you my email anyway, just in case. I'm not snotty like that. Josey gave hers. I'll give mine. It's Sarah@cezoom.com. Sarah with an H, SARAH @cezoom.com.
Fantastic. Thank you both so much for being here. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah, this is a tale, oh yeah, a tale of two hygienists. So there might be only one, bringing the best of dental knowledge, and we do it all with ease. We cover oral health and screening, and preventing gum disease. We're gonna do a lot of learning, and have a little bit of fun working at the dentist. A tale of two hygienists.